Guys, what's up? Irish Emerald here, and welcome to a brand new video here for the Champions of COG Experiment. This is kind of this new take on Draft League where you guys, the viewers, rather than just watching a Draft League and watching one participant, one Draft League battler talk to their thoughts, you're going to be hearing myself and my co-host, which I'll introduce in a moment, commentating over the battle to try and give you guys a more entertaining aspect when it comes to watching these battles. So with that being said, my co-host is none other than AutoMatthic.
What's going on, guys? AutoMatthic here, and like Irish said, instead of you guys getting to watch Aimel's really cool French-Canadian accent or Jayvee's great looks, you get us. So we're gonna go over the matchup in a little bit here, touch on a few things, not too extensively, and then we're gonna dive into the battle and see how things turn out. But before that, I think it's good that we touch a little bit on the format, don't you think so, Irish?
Yeah, I think so. Do you want to take it away?
Sure we can. So in this we have two groups of 4 coaches, each who had a draft together. You can see the two teams we're going to dive into now in their battle. They each play each other within their division, so 3 battles each, and the top 2 progresses to the playoffs. So it should be fast, and we should also have a fire lineup, but we're going to focus on Aimel and Jayvee right now. You can see the Atlanta Victinis, which is coached by Jayvee, and the Montreal Skorupis, coached by Aimel, at the right. So, given this matchup, do you see anything that you're gonna watch out for?
What's going to be very interesting for me is how Aimel is going to leverage Lando T in this situation. Lando T would be a great check for Zero Aura. Can also potentially help him out with the Lycan Rock, potentially help him out with Scizor, or with the Intimidate. So it'd be interesting to see how he's going to leverage that. And then on the flip side of that, how is Jayvee going to manage to get through some of this bulk that Aimel has, with Jirachi and Chansey being very, very annoying to deal with, and Amoonguss there and locking around in the back too. So Jayvee having to break through this bulk with potentially a bulky Lando, Jirachi, Chansey and Amoonguss coming could be very, very problematic for most battlers trying to look at Aimel's team.
Yeah, for sure. The Lando T, if well played, seems really hard for Jayvee to deal with. At the other hand, I'm also curious to see how Aimel is going to deal both with the speed advantage that Jayvee seems to have, things like Zero Aura and Starmie being massively above the pace of Aimel's team, as well as something I've noticed is that I think that if the guard jump is Sword Stance in this battle, it can really do a number to Aimel. It's naturally fast in the entire team, and as far as I know, with SD, even Lando T isn't really dealing with it well, because it doesn't hit it back too hard without hitting Power Ice or something.
I know, and with that being gone in the game, it's going to be very difficult to check that set. So it'll be interesting to see what, or if anything, Aimel brings to try and pressure that guard chomp into not being able to click SD, or being able to have a counter for that SD should it come. With that being said, you guys, we're not going to linger here too long. We definitely want to get into the battle. Give us your thoughts in the comment section down below, what you think of the matchup right here, and who you're rooting for. Are you going to be rooting for Jayvee, or are you going to be rooting for Aimel in this matchup? Links to both coaches will be in the description down below. Definitely go check them out, and we would definitely appreciate any feedback you have on this new format, seeing as how we're definitely experimenting with this commentating style for these Draft League battles. And I think with that, we should be able to just jump right up into the battle.
Yes, we should. And there is one thing really that I also want to point out, is that in the recording there was a bit of an issue, so we're going to watch the first few turns from Aimel's point of view. And Aimel is, like we said, French-Canadian, so you guys have to bear with us for a little bit here once we figure out the French. Once the first few minutes are over, we're going to switch to Jayvee's side. So it might be a bit confusing seeing the two sides swap, but that's really because we want to show you guys all the footage, and we want to show you guys them in English as much as possible. But we see here Aimel leading off a Choice Scarf Moltres, which, to be fair, looks really good against most things. He really only doesn't want to be stuck in the lead with the Lycan Rock, and all the other things it can pretty much U-turn. Don't you agree, Irish?
I think so. I think it's definitely like a nice solid lead. Also, kind of counters that speed advantage. Hopefully, on Aimel's side that you pointed out earlier. So definitely a solid bring, but we'll see what happens. I like how he didn't throw Jayvee under the bus there, but I will do because it's his fault we're dealing with this sort of fuck up on the video because he didn't get his shit together. But anyways, we see at the start, Aimel's really just going to go for the U-turn right off the bat because he sees the Lycan Rock, and he's just going to get that very first turn underway. Luckily, we didn't have to translate too much French there for you guys. That's really handy for Auto and myself.
Oh yes, because we are definitely not going to be stuck here. So the thing with this is that he doesn't necessarily reveal that he is Choice Scarf at this point, because Moltres should naturally outspeed Lycanroc. So the only way that this matters in terms of showing the Choice Scarf is if that Lycanroc is Choice Scarf itself. Lando T also comes in to get Intimidate off. It is a pretty safe option here. And we did some translation for you guys as well when we get the Lando T set, as the Lycanroc gets up rocks. Lando T also has rocks together with EQ, Knockoff and Bulk Up. So just before you guys get confused what those moves are, we quickly looked them up for you guys. And the Lando is going to exchange rocks here at this point, which looks to be viable. We're probably going to be in a match where rocks are up at either side, unless that Starmie is able to get a rapid spin off on this team, because I don't see that many options for Aimel to get rid of those stealth rocks.
He hasn't brought him this week. It would have been Lando or it would have been Moltres that would have had to carry the defog for him, so he's going to be living with whatever hazards that Jayvee sets up in front of him, and that's just the way it's going to be. Now luckily we did see that Jayvee did bring a bit of speed on his Lycanroc to prevent any taunting action going on in front of him, so he does manage to get his rocks off. But it was a very clever bring by Aimel, but unfortunately for Jayvee, just didn't bring enough speed to counteract what Aimel was going to be bringing there. And as we see, Aimel also go for the knockoff and get a big hit off on that Lycanroc.
Yes, also do some big damage back, but I think it was reversal at that point, given by the damage it did after the knockoff. But this pretty much puts the Lycanroc in a pretty bad spot, but he is also going to just sack this point. Maybe it was just a way for them to get up rocks, especially after Moltres shown to be fast. It could be a reason why they didn't want to go that route here. Also interested to see what their initial switch into Lando is going to be. As we said pre-game that Lando can be pretty tough for Jayvee to deal with, as his grass types both lose out to, or his grass type rather in the Situai loses out to Knockoff. So that's a pretty bad spot for him to be in, especially considering Roan of Frost, the other ground immunity, also gets hit by Stone Edge, which Lando T could easily run. It doesn't. He doesn't know that, but it's definitely an option for him.
At this point here, he does know that the Lando T is not a choice item. He has got lefties, so Starmie is a very easy bring in here. Whether or not he elects to stay in here with Starmie and claim this kill, or looks to make a read here by going for flip turn, we'll see. As you just see on the camera, we do flip over to Jayvee side now. You guys are going to see it all in English, thank God. No hate on the French, but like Otto and I, and probably yourselves, cannot speak a word of it. As we see Jayvee clicking the Hydro Pump, he's going to want his kill and a big hit off on whatever. As we see Aimel make the pivot out, brings out his Chansey just to sponge this hit up. And this is probably something that we talked about early on in the matchup. There's going to be a hell of a lot of bulk here that Jayvee's going to have to try and break through. And if Aimel's going to be able to pivot around it, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for Jayvee to break through.
Yes, for sure. And I think there's definitely merit in the play being made there like it was. You could argue that Chansey switching in was obvious, and therefore Rapid Spin was the optimal play. But as you guys can see, they were able to go for it this turn anyways, because Chansey is very likely passive against this. And I think it would have been a throw if the Lando stayed in, predicting a Rapid Spin, and then unnecessarily getting knocked off by the Lando. Don't you agree with that, Irish?
Yeah, no, I think so. It would have been very, very scary, especially with the tech that Jayvee's brought here. He's decided to go for the Power Herb Meteor Beam to try and catch that Moltres. So if he loses that Power Herb just from a knockoff, even if he lives that whole tech and his whole plan of being able to bait in that Moltres is gone. Now, it's not going to work in this matchup. Little does Jayvee know that the Moltres is scarfed, but really nice idea to bring that and try and catch out Aimel here. As we see Jayvee flick through the Pokemon, trying to figure out how he's wanting to break through this Chansey as he decides to bring in Incineroar instead. Just be interesting to see, because we didn't get a chance to see what items Jayvee has, if this is going to be heavy, or we don't even know if it's heavy duty boots. We've seen the rocks go off, but we'll be interested to see what how this matchup is going to be played, as we do see the pivot from Aimel here.
Yeah, pretty understandable that the Incineroar was coming in though, as getting a free knockoff essentially will either get rid of the Violite, which is pretty huge for the Chansey. It's one of his physical offenses to be presumed, and also another item on any of the Pokemon that could switch in would be great, because literally the only good switch-ins are this throw to a knockoff and the Moltres, and it looks like it's actually Flame Orb, so it might not be a bulky variant here. We might be dealing with quite an offensive throw here, which we don't see too often. The body shot does look obvious though at this point, but how do you see what's going to be the switch into throw, given that it's probably going to be offensive, even though it might be a minus... No, it's not going to be a -1, because it's just straight up faster and gets the KO there.
Ooh, big hit, big time hit. I think that crit may have mattered there on that one. Definitely think so. That's a big time hit. That definitely going to suck. That puts Jayvee 2 down here. And bear in mind, guys, Jayvee has been killing on the Wi-Fi scene here. Aimel definitely showing up and showing out under the big bright lights as he brings in Clefable to try and deal with this throw. Be interesting to see, will he be able to get off this belly drum set, which is wild to me. I kind of want Jayvee to get this off now. I'm not going to lie.
It looks like the throw stays in though, but it's going for Circle Throw. No, it has the poison jab, but... Also, I think a big turn here is that the throw actually, which is naturally slower than the Incineroar, was faster just that other turn, regardless of the crit mattering or not. That's great prep on Aimel's part as well. And now Jayvee's in a tough decision, because he's shown the substitute, which may lead to believe Aimel that he has something specifically for this. So it looks like he's debating to go into his guard jump. What would you feel like you should do with your Clefable here?
This is a tough one, because he kind of needs the Clefable for the Moltres, and we have no information on the Moltres whatsoever. So it's very, very spooky. I wouldn't be going hard Garchomp here, to be honest, though, because that Garchomp, if he is... that Garchomp's probably one of the main answers for trying to beat through Chansey and Amoonguss. So this is going to be a hard out. I think maybe the Rotom, but I don't know what Rotom set he is. Either that or you just sack the Clefable, but I really don't think that's the right move there either. Tough call here, but we'll see what Jayvee goes for. He does decide to go up to the Garchomp. Whether he's going to regret this or not, we'll see if Throw goes for the Poison Jab again, and he does. So Garchomp should be able to live this and hopefully be able to get off a big hit on the Throw with the rough skin. Taking a little bit of chunk damage out from him with the burn. Maybe this is within range of EQ, and hopefully that might work out for Jayvee. We'll see.
Yeah, he definitely wants to keep with the offensive pressure, predict the poison jab correctly, although like you said, there was definitely some risk in that. He is going to go for the EQ, he is Life Orb, and that will be enough to knock out the Throw, which that sequence really helped up working there, because Throw was an issue for him at this point, especially without the option to Intimidate, with Incineroar even further, and it also being able to switch in on things like the Rotom Frost quite easily, so that's probably a good call on him, getting this threat gone. It does open up for Jayvee to go back into Chansey though, or for Aimel, my bad. So let's see what he does, because usually you don't really want your special wall in against the Garchomp.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious why even Jayvee is going to go for the switch here. I would have thought maybe going hard here, going for a big EQ to see what damage he can get off the Chansey, but he probably reckons he needs to preserve that Garchomp a lot more, as we see Aimel with a Reflect. That is not great news for Jayvee, particularly considering he's wanting to do belly drum with this Clefable. That's definitely going to put a pause on that whole tech there. But we'll see if he decides to go hard with it regardless. As more likely, do we see Chansey go for Teleport here? This could be an easy free substitute. So he might. So I wonder why he does here. He actually goes hard for the belly drum. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
I don't think that Aimel's going to allow that. I think he saw substitute. He's not going to swap at this point, I believe. I think Jayvee may have been scared about Ice Beam or counter against his Garchomp, most likely. And he knows it's important in this matchup and may not have killed. But leave what Chansey does. It goes for the Seismic here. And if I look correctly, it's below 50 HP. So that is going to be a KO on the Clefable. And definitely the correct call by Aimel to not let that thing do anything for free after showing substitute. And now Jayvee's in a tough spot, getting in his Starmie, but I didn't remember if it had Size Shock or not. If it doesn't, it's in a really tough spot here to do any damage against Chansey at all.
If I remember correctly, it does, but and it does indeed. And now he looks like he's thinking about popping the Meteor Beam. Now, if that's, I don't know if that is the right play, but At this point, though, he's under big pressure to even just try and win this game. As you know, it's unlucky with the hydro pump tech. You could have argued, Aimel could have sat there with his Chansey and just sponged whatever hit that Starmie was going to do, but he probably expected a pivot. But see what Aimel decides to pivot out into here. He's got plenty of options here. He has the Moltres, that Scarf that can just smack this thing with the Fire Wrath, but that would scream Scarf. But boy, he does go for it. That Jayvee is definitely going to have another think here. Is he willing to pop the meteor beam, knowing that this thing isn't boots, or is the Fiery Wrath? Oh, he is going to pop it. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, he's going to get actually KO'd here. I don't assume Starmie lifts this, and indeed it doesn't.
No.
Really safe play also by Aimel, because with Clefable being eliminated by the Chansey, there really wasn't, and also Incineroar being gone, there really wasn't a Dark Switch anymore. So I really, even though he really revealed the Scarf by making that aggressive play, I don't think it matters, because he just clicks the Dark move for free here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this puts Jayvee in a massive bind here. Especially considering he's got a Chansey that can pivot out into this Rotom, and Chansey can just click Seismic Toss so freely for the rest of this game. It's not a really good spot for anybody here. He does elect to go into the Chansey. This was definitely the easiest play to make it throughout in this matchup, as Rotom elects to go for the Blizzard, trying to get a big hit off, but Chansey's just going to sponge that. That is absolutely nothing. I don't see a way of Jayvee getting around this, to be honest. I think he's stuck in here. I think it's definitely going to be at least a 5-0 for Aimel here. Don't see any way back for him at all.
Yeah, the interesting point for me is the Rotom going for Blizzard in front of the Moltres. I would assume that Volt Switch also kills and also covers the Chansey play, where you get back in your Garchomp. So either the Volt Switch didn't kill, or he really didn't want to have the Garchomp in against the Chansey, still potentially fearing that Ice Beam, although Chansey has been revealing a lot of his moves at this point.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting call. I'd imagine that this Rotom was probably maybe a little bit more on the defensive side. To probably tank a hit from an Amoonguss and be able to come in and kick Blizzard against it. I don't know if this team was probably 252 special attack, but yeah, I think this is done, you guys. I think it's really, I can't see a way back from him. This is a huge result though for Aimel, it has to be said. If he does pull it off, Aimel probably more of an unknown name here especially on the Wi-Fi scene in Draft League. This is definitely his big moment, and coming up against a really big name in Jayvee, who's been killing right now. Definitely one of the top 15 battlers in Wi-Fi. To be able to kind of come in and claim a win in such spectacular fashion in front of a much bigger audience, a lot of eyes on this experiment right now. This is going to be really big for him and his profile. Jayvee definitely going to have to go and look at the drawing board. He needs probably 2 wins now in his next 2 games to even get out of the group, which is going to be tall order, really.
Yeah, that's really how this is going to go down. You need 2 wins in order to progress in a group like this, unless there is one coach who gets beaten all 3 weeks. In that case, one team is going to miss out with 2 wins. That's going to be a tough spot for him to be in. He finally does decide to go into the Garchomp here, probably realizing that if something needs to happen, he needs to try and get rid of this Chansey with the Garchomp. Another thing to also note is that the Rotom was Charlie Berry, so it was very likely going to be a Lando T switch in to also cover for the potential Stone Edge, which the Lando did not have, but a very understandable decision in prep. We're going to see how much this Garchomp is going to do against this Chansey, and this may also be the reason why he switched out in the first place, because even with the Life Orb, it's still not doing a lot of damage, and it looks like something like the Scizor not being here, the Zeraora not being here, like those knockoff users, Incineroar going early is really making his team struggle to take out this Chansey right here. And I believe, if I saw it correct, is that the Garchomp is going to even go down to Life Orb this turn. It does claim the Chansey though, but I don't think that's going to be a position where Rotom can safely win this game anymore. There's a Jirachi in the back we haven't seen yet. There's a faster Moltres there. Even though the Rotom seems quite healthy, it's also already through 4 of its Blizzards. So this is going to still look tough for Jayvee, even though he got a differential point on the Chansey there.
Definitely. And you would probably make the argument that was there a need really for Aimel to sack the Chansey. I know probably he was thinking, it doesn't really matter, he's got the game run, but if it comes down to diff in the group because 2 coaches have 2 wins, and Oh, and he's there, and he lost by one diff. He's definitely going to look back at that decision and regret it as he crossed the stone edge. And we're going to see Ronan pick up another kill here. That's 2 diff gone already. You kind of would wonder what's going on with the Jirachi. If Jirachi didn't come in here just to claim off the kill. Definitely a little bit of slack here by Aimel towards the end of the game after playing so well. Should have cleaned this game up far more efficiently than what we saw here on camera.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be the most entertaining. I definitely think that Chansey was in a position to just softball it up against both the Garchomp and the Rotom for us to claim the 5-0. The Stone Edge miss is really unfortunate, but we're going to see what this Jirachi is about. There is the foul play option here for Rotom Frost, but if this is a flinching Jirachi set, then it needs a lot to go into Jayvee's way, even though it doesn't do too much. And there we see the first flinch already. I think he needs 2 more, right? Looking at the HP where they're at.
I think he needs 2 more, yeah. But we do see Jayvee going for the pain split to try and make sure that he can recover some HP back. It looks like he's going to need another 2. We've definitely miscalculated that one wrong, but he's going to need 2 more flinches. I think JV's done the right play here, going for the pain split if he can. Oh, that's failed.
That might be range though, so maybe 2 was in fact correct after all, with some rolls going there, and it seems to be the case. So we are going to wrap this one up in a 3-0 win for Aimel over Jayvee. Now, something you pointed out as well is that both of these coaches have been doing really well in the recent weeks. I've known Aimel for a bit longer, and he recently joined Wi-Fi. He's really doing good in there. And also something with Aimel is that he always seems to bring 1 or 2 sets that you don't predict as an opponent. And while we haven't seen too much of that here, although going offensive throw with the guts option is definitely uncommon, he does like to do stuff like that. And for Jayvee as well, who has been on a great run of form recently, definitely had some place, maybe even in his prep, to be desired to really be in a position to win here. We do have to respect the belly drum attempt with Clefable, because if he got that off, he would have been really close at winning this game, if not outright winning there. But I think it's just really unfortunate that he definitely chose the throw to substitute up in prep, which is not a bad idea at all. It's just at that point you encounter Aimel, who likes to bring different stuff than what you would predict. But if that was a more passive throw like most people would bring, then he would have been in a great spot, and that's how close these battles sometimes can be.
Well, I definitely think Jayvee could probably take a look at this battle and definitely make the argument that his prep was very lackluster here. The Lightning Rock Midnight, even though he did bring he brought the speed, he brought the taunt, didn't bring the speed to really make a dent in on a faster Lando, and definitely could have, and definitely didn't look at maybe having a taunt on a slightly faster Jirachi and on a couple of other Pokemon that might be lurking around. And you definitely could have made the argument having someone else that's able to set up, like you pointed out, SD Garchomp really has a nice time here, and he would definitely have found time to have been able to get that off, particularly considering the fact that Jirachi, if that's not scarfed, that's not staying in. He definitely would have had the scope to be able to get SD off, and that would have helped break through a lot of the bulk. And you definitely could have made the argument that maybe he could have brought a Scizor or a Zero Aura to click SD in order to try and break through his opponent. Whether or not there's space for that, I don't know, but definitely SD Garchomp should be brought. Definitely a bit more speed in the Lightning Rock Midnight to shut down any sort of stall movement. And you could make the argument if he should have brought another Taunt User. If he had it, he should have brought it. It was just wasn't to be. It just allowed the chance to heal up and cause absolute havoc then towards in that mid game for Jayvee.
Yeah, either taunt or knockoff, like we pointed out, would have been huge here. But exciting battle to start off this whole tournament here. Aimel moving 1-0, so he only needs to win one of his other 2 matches, assuming no one in their group goes winless. That should clinch him a playoff spot, so he can already do that next week, which will be important for him to look out. And maybe if he's in a position, be a little bit more freed up to bring some more of that heat he is known for in the 3rd week. But with that, I think we have covered everything sufficiently, unless you still want to add something here, Irish.
Maybe get your recording right next time, please. Thank you.
Oh, all right. That's how we're doing it here.
That's how we're doing it. That's how we're doing it. You lose like that, buddy, you're getting called out. Get your recording right next time. Thank you.
I always have my recording right. I'm not sure what you're talking about, and if something was wrong, I fix it in editing. That's how we do. People didn't even notice. But with that gone, thank you guys for watching. Like we said before, check out the coaches in the description down below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel of the Champions of Galar so you get notified when all the other battles goes live. The links for myself and Irish will also be in the description down below, so be sure to check those out. And we will see you guys back next week.